Scanning the audience, my captive audience. Thank you for allowing that. I appreciate it. All right. I'm going to take you on a journey that I took 15 years ago in 2007 with my co-worker, James Stoddard Wallard. Actually, he took the journey, the physical journey. I stayed in the comfort of my own office, but I watched carefully. I took every step with him. I felt like I was on the mountain with him, and his journey was to climb Mount Everest. And I hope to bring you that same excitement that I felt, that our whole company felt while he walked on the face of the mountain. Now, my office became Grand Central Station of everything Jim. I plastered this map from National Geographic 2003 May journal and plastered that on the office supplies company doors so that no one could miss it. Every day I logged into the International Mountain Guides website to see where Jim was at every single day. And I plastered "Where's Jim" posters everywhere, all around the company, the lunchroom, the receptionist area, the back shops. Everybody knew that I knew where Jim was. Everyone, the owners, the managers, and the shop technicians all knew where Jim was on any given day. Jim's journey had an unexpected morale-boosting, relationship-building effect on our little company, which our owners really appreciated. Now, Jim was no novice to high altitude climbing. He had already climbed many of the world's top peaks, including Ochoyu, which is a 26,864 peak, roughly 12 miles west of Everest. And this was not Jim's first visit to Mount Everest. In 2001, he planted his feet on the north face, but he didn't attempt to do the summit at that time. In 2005, he did attempt a summit bid, but only 635 mere feet short of the elusive summit, he had to make a wise and hard decision to turn back for safety purposes. But now, Jim's 2007 attempt, he will successfully make it at this time. Now, I would be amiss to not mention some of Everest's most interesting factoids. The mountain's English name honors a 19th century British surveyor, Sir George Everest. However, I think the Nepalese has a more fitting name. It's called Saga Matha, or the forehead of the sky. The first successful summit of Mount Everest was accomplished by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzin Norgay in 1953. Their route, the South Route, has become the most popular. We're told that Hillary and Norgay decided to never reveal which one truly stepped on the summit first. To this day, it is still a mystery. In 2015, a movie created by Balthazar Kokerman called Everest, it's revealed that in the 40 years following Hillary and Norgay's summit, only professionals climbed and attempted the same feat, and 1 in 4 died. All that changed in 1992, when a new concept created a chance of summiting Mount Everest to a new kind of climber, the amateur climber. This increased number of climbers vying for the summit each season presented life-threatening circumstances. For example, the bottleneck effect, which occurs at many points throughout the climb. Can you imagine waiting for your turn with hundreds behind you to cross one ladder going up the Khumbu icefall? Or can you imagine taking your turn, waiting for your turn to climb a single file column to get to the summit from Camp 4 with hundreds behind you? A typical medical problem suffered by high altitude climbers is cerebral and pulmonary edema, the swelling of the brain causing hallucinations, and fluid filling the lungs, causing you to drown. And another problem Another problem are the dead bodies strewn across the face of the mountain, because past a certain elevation, it's too dangerous to retrieve them and they have to be left behind. And their number increases each year with the increasing number of persons attempting to summit. But by far, the main challenge to each climber is the investment of time needed to acclimatize their bodies to the high altitude. You cannot simply, in one fell swoop, go from base camp to the rest of the camps to the summit in one shot. You die. It would kill you. You must allow your bodies and your lungs to acclimatize to the elevation. It's a dizzying regimen. With that said, let's go right into a quick play-by-play of Jim's journey taken from my daily tracker, right here. It starts on March 19th, where he flies to Kathmandu, Nepal. On March 22nd, he flies to Lukla, Nepal, the last town with an airport. From here on out, the rest of the way to base camp is by hiking. On March 26th, Jim hikes to Tembush Monastery at 12,700 feet. And he acclimatizes. Finally, after 6 more days of on-off hiking and more acclimatizing, Jim arrives at Everest Base Camp at 17,600 feet. Then Jim starts a 12-day regimen of acclimatizing, during which ice doctors create a route from base camp to Camp 1 in the Khumbu Icefall, which is a very narrow, very steep glacier, which changes daily. And it's considered one of the most dangerous portions of the climb. On April 12th, Jim starts his initial practice climbing with Mingma Tershing Portse, who will be Jim's personal Sherpa guide for the entire journey. They climb through Khumbu Icefall to Camp 1. All the while, Sherpas are tirelessly carrying loads and loads of supplies to each of the camps between all of these 3 camps. On April 26th, it's reported that a Sherpa from another expedition was hit and killed by a block of ice on Camp 3. On April 29th, loads of supplies reach Camp 4, which is the last camp before the final summit. It's called the South Col, and it's at 26,300 feet. On April 30th, Sherpas from another team summit Mount Everest, fixing ropes that will be used by all the climbers going forward. On May 5th, a supply of oxygen bottles arrive at Camp 4. And all this time, Jim and Mingma continue traversing back and forth between base camp, Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, going back and forth, always going back to base camp, but always acclimatizing. On May 9th, from base camp, Jim begins to set his mind on a serious summit bid, and he calls his wife to tell her. On May 11th, Jim and his team leaves base camp for the first serious bid. On May 13th, a powerful windstorm delays the first summit bid by a few days. Camps 1 and 2 are fortunately kept intact. However, Camp 3 and 4 take a few days.
You've reached your minimum time. 9 minutes.
Oh, sorry. He reaches Camp 4 for the final bid. On September 19th, finally, 62 days after flying into Kathmandu, Jim and Mingma start their final bid for the summit. They watch the sunrise on Hillary Step at 28,750 feet. Then finally achieves his goal of summiting Mount Everest at 6 a.m. at 29,035 feet. You can imagine the pandemonium of my running through the office halls yelling, "He made it! He made it!" It was so exciting. Now, during the 2007 Mount Everest season, it was reported that over 500 people successfully summited Mount Everest, with 5 deaths. Like you and I, reliving Jim's journey today, my coworkers and I watched Jim's progress in 2007 from the comfort and safety of our offices. Our little band of coworkers shared Jim's ups and downs, his celebrations, challenges, and accomplishments, ultimately culminating in his final and rewarding summit of the tallest mountain on earth. Thank you.